What's up, everybody? Episode 4. We're here with Aaron, Michael, of course. Yeah, we're reaching the end of the semester. Me and Mike are in school. Aaron, what are you up to at this time of year, bro?
Man, right now I've been working. I've been working a lot. I just finished my semester in school about a week ago, and a lot of projects and stuff. But mainly outside of that, I've been working with a couple clients, uh, mainly the government of the mayor's office here in Mexico, in Monterrey, where I live in the city. And that I got that job just out of pure curiosity, just asking around. And aside from that, I also got a job. It's my first uh, good monthly payment job, which I'm probably gonna get about $600, which is around 12,000 pesos a month for just making videos and commercials for this one spa.
That's
And
what's up.
I've been moving. I've just been really active, really, humbled about it. I don't try to dwell on like my failures. I try to like always stay positive and see what I can do next and see what I can come up with next. And yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I'm trying to write a script in this next month that I have free. I want to write a script. I want to do some videos. I have a couple ideas in mind of things I want to do, but this is the best time because I got so much time on my hand.
That's what's up. For everyone watching, me and Aaron, we met at school at UCF. Freshman year, we ran into each other randomly. We've been friends ever since. We went there freshman year, and then the pandemic hit, and then that just changed everything. Like spring break, went home, and then life just became like very focused on like my own path. What was I doing? And dude, like Aaron, I'm glad you took this route, bro, because genuinely, I see two people stay in a major that they don't like, and then you really just like you said fuck all of that, and you really just went for it, bro. And you're like, how many steps ahead? Like you're so far ahead now. You just went for it. So I really want to talk about like chasing your dreams on this episode, like the vision.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, no, I remember one
Okay,
day.
real quick.
So yeah, bro, I just want to talk about the vision and what that means to you when you made the decision to leave school. The situation, of course, was a factor, and then just chase your dreams, bro.
Well, okay, it all started senior year high school when I entered theater. I went into theater. I ended up loving acting. It was like an escape for me. Um, it was an escape out of everything I've ever done. It was a whole new experience. Being another person for 2 hours, not focused on anything that's happening in my life, and focusing on like solely that person that I'm supposed to be playing. It was magical, bro. Like honestly, it was just such an out of body experience, and I ended up doing really good in that. But I never ended up pursuing that, even though I really wanted to. And then I went to UCF, and I that's it. I'm gonna spend my 4 years of college. I'm gonna pursue med school. I'm gonna try to be a doctor, a surgeon, and that was mainly because of that force that my father had in me. I've always been trying to make him proud. He's a really successful man. So for me as a young kid, I looked up to that. I would say I want to be successful like my dad. I want him to be proud of me because he's not proud of many people. But if he's proud of me, it means that I'm doing something right. And and that drove me so long. It drove me. I went into that career thinking I wanted to do it for myself. I was fooling myself into thinking this is what I want to do with life. And then I met you. And honestly, that was a big factor as well because I got to talk to someone who was also trying to chase an artistic career and doing their dreams. And it just made me open up about my dreams and what I want to do with my life. And even at that time, I was still scared. I was so scared of jumping in, without knowing how deep the water was going to be and if it was I was gonna drown, or if I was gonna flourish and like just swim.
Right, but that's the chase mentality, bro, not the pursue. You're pursuing now, bro. Like
Oh
you told me, you're getting all this money now. You're putting it towards your company, bro. Like,
yes, yes.
yeah, it's the pursue. I see you in like the pursue mentality now. Like the
Oh, definitely.
chasing, I feel like you were chasing at UCF. Like,
I
dude,
was.
I'm still chasing in college sometimes. Like, let me just get a good grade on this, and I have to like find new ways of motivation. But like, dude, music brings that to me. Sports bring that to me. Like relationships outside of school bring that to me. So I'm like the pursue mentality, bro. Like that's where I see you at. And
Exactly.
like,
I feel like right there, I was still chasing a dream. You know, I was still. It was still a dream. You know, it wasn't a possibility. It was still just something that I couldn't grasp yet. You know, and it took me some time, and it took mental effort. You know, once I came back, when I left UCF, I got into a really dark place because I had no friends. The pandemic started. I had nowhere to go. You know, I didn't see anyone. I dealt with some drugs. I dealt a lot with marijuana. I dealt with the Molly, LSD, things like that. And I started like taking a toll on me, you know? And being completely honest, I was not happy with my life. I always think back and I tell myself, okay, if a 10-year-old version of you saw yourself, would he be proud? And that always fucking got me. That it always got me because I knew the answer was no. Fuck no. You would never be proud of who I am. And that's when I took my first step. I entered law school. I hated it. I started like every single day, every single like minute of my life was like, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing? Like, is this what I want to do? This is not what I want to do. Like, don't stop like cheating yourself from what you can accomplish and just start doing what you want to accomplish. And
right,
I met this one person in my life who told me this very like important thing that drove me into doing and pursuing the career that I've always wanted to pursue. He said, "View your career as your wife. Who do you want to get married to your entire life?" And when I heard that, I said immediately, I want to make films. I want to produce movies. I want to be able to show someone through storytelling and through visual telling, like make them relate to it and make them forget 2 hours of their day and like make them feel happier with themselves or whatever feeling I want to accomplish through visual and storytelling. I want to be able to do that because it helped me so much when I was by myself, when I was lonesome. I related to the characters, you know, the characters were my friends. I related to the stories. It entertained me outside of my world, just like acting did for me. And the next day, I quit law school. I didn't tell anybody, but I just quit. I found out how to, you know, drop every single class I could do and just drop out of the major. And I did it the very next day. And then I didn't tell anybody for about a week. And then I grew up like I grabbed my boss and I was like, "Hey, Dad, listen, I'm not going back to law school. I can't. It's impossible. I can't do it." And he got really pissed at me. But honestly, that was the best moment of my life. That was when my life first started. Like honestly, that was when it first started. And then I got into film school January, and ever since then I haven't looked back. And every project I make as if it's like a professional shoot for this company, and I'm getting like $1,000 for it. But it's just a school project, and I see it in the work my peers make. I always see it like they shoot with like iPhones or they shoot without like a steady cam or their vision is off. But I always put 110% into everything I do because I know that this is what I want to do with my life, and I don't view it as work. I view it as experience. I view it as as a life experience, you know.
mm,
And ever since I view it like that, it feels like I'm pursuing what I want to do, you know. And and I've been getting a lot of opportunities from it. And even though I still don't have that many friends, and I'm still, you know, on the outsides of what the city could be, I'm making a name for myself in my major, in the community that I'm in. And I love that. I love that. I don't care about anything else but that.
Dude, that's beautiful. Hey, there's gonna be the right type of fun. Just the loneliness, bro. That's character building. That's character building. You got to take the lonely road on your type of path.
Definitely. And sometimes it does get lonely, but I met my girlfriend about 4 days before starting school and film school. And she's also been a huge drive for me. We had this huge fight one day, and I was still doing drugs, and I was still like getting high and like doing Molly and stuff like that. And that was March. I'd already been in school 2 months, 2.5 months. And then one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, do you really want to continue with this? Do you seriously want to do it? Because I know for some people it's beneficial, but for me it started to become more of like an escape, you know, an escape from my reality, an escape from whatever emotions I was trying to hide. And then one day I just quit and I never looked back. And I've been sober ever since. You know, I've had my mishaps, but I've been sober, and I've been sober ever since. And I'm really happy about it.
Congratulations, bro, for real. And I know, bro, it served you in every way to you know, hold your body as a temple, and just as you hold your craft as your passion, it has to reflect onto how you uplift yourself. It's like a balance.
Definitely. You know, I've always been more of like an introvert, sort of. You know, yeah, I've always been more like an introvert, but I have my extrovert tendencies every now and again. I could go to a party and have fun, but it'll come to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm out. I don't want to go. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to talk to people. I've had my share of energy well spent. And
Oh my bad.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's say when I met you guys at UCF, I think I got along with you guys because like I've been introverted a lot in high school and like sometimes in college, but it seems like you guys had like extroverted energy. Like it was just easy to like sit down with you guys at 63 South or like Nitros and just talk about things that were bigger than just like our immediate vicinity. It was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like things that were greater than what we can see, things that affect our daily lives that people don't discuss often. I remember like walking around this parking garage with Austin and some people,
Mhm.
and Austin was just like telling us about some
Dude,
insane topics,
the
and
sunset was
yeah.
crazy during that walk.
So like I am glad you went sober, dude, because when you like don't when you can like let these primal urges, like we were talking about before the podcast of like TikTok or that escape, like get to you, it leads to that, like laziness and depression and like dissatisfaction with yourself. But I had a question for you. Um, so I like definitely understand like why you'd want to go sober and why you think, like that escape that you were getting from those drugs could be unhealthy. Um, do you think like I guess for some people, if they do like those drugs, like they can get that like a healthy escape?
No, definitely, definitely. At first, I did view it, and as I said, I had my mishaps, and it was one day I actually found a dab pen at the gym. It was about 4 months ago.
Mm. See, dude, that's the type of thing where I'm like, I don't want to live up to the sorry to cut you off. I don't want to live up to like just the 10-year-old version of me, the idea of what 10-year-old me thinks life should be, but like also, bro, like past me being like, let me like go to this party. Let me like, oh, let me get free drinks at the bar. It's like, bro, when that's put in my universe, it's almost like I'm getting like a reward. You know what I mean?
That's
In the
exactly
way that situation you told me, I was like, bro, you got rewarded. You were grinding like
that's
on your shit, bro.
100%, 100%. And at the time, a little like back, a little context. My girlfriend was living in New York, and I hadn't seen her in like 4 months now, and we were at the point where it was very stressful for me. I was dealing with talking to her in FaceTime all the day, every single moment I could. You know, and we would clash about like just random things. And even Austin could tell you, like, there were times where I used to ask Austin, like, what the fuck do I tell her? Because it came to a point where I had no idea how to talk to her through a phone. Like, how can you show emotions through a
Yeah,
phone?
dude.
You
You need the outside
I
perspective
hate it, bro.
sometimes.
If my
exactly.
girlfriend's watching this, it's not just me. Okay, Aaron
No,
understands. Aaron understands.
you
Yes.
have a long distance relationship too.
No, but like when I was in town in Tampa for Thanksgiving, like obviously I love FaceTiming my girlfriend,
Right.
but like I was talking to her and I'm like, I really don't want to talk to you for too long on the phone. Like I want to save it. So like talk to you in person. Like I know it's nice to talk for a while, but like I hate it. Like
Definitely.
if I could like wait like 2 days and just like let all the emotions like build up and like release when I can see you physically, I'd rather do that.
100%. I agree with you 100% because honestly, like at first it was fun. Like we would just watch movies and shit, but it became so repetitive. And like like you get to a point where it's like, okay, how's your day? Like, oh, that's good. What you eat? Like, how's what are you doing right now? And it's like it's minor things. It's just simple talk. Like you never get into like that good conversation that you fell in love with that person for.
It's like a commercial break, bro.
Exactly. Yes. Dude, it used to like, freak me out because I was like, does she still love me? Like, are we together for a good reason? Like, what's happening right now? And then I found that dab pen, and I took that first hit, and I had such a good day that day. Like, it felt like I don't know, I just completely zoned out of all my stresses. So, and I was happy. I sang in the car, like I
Yeah.
fucking went to edit some stuff. I watched a movie and I did it for fun. And after that, it was such a great feeling, honestly. It was just like like I just lost everything off my back. It was like that backpack I was carrying, I just like threw it out and I just kept walking. And it was amazing. So yes, I definitely see it as something beneficial for so many people.
Yeah.
For me, I'm scared that I have a very addictive personality, super addictive. So like once I start something, like I'll probably like not drop it because like that's just how I work. So and I noticed that my days started becoming more bland because with my like addictive personality, I always wanted to smoke. I wanted to smoke like after every class, like or in between class. I was like, hey, bathroom break, I gotta go smoke. And it got to a point where like it was like 7 p.m. at night and my eyes were all like shrunken and I couldn't really see and I couldn't really talk to people. And the
Yeah.
words, things that I wanted to communicate would just come out in a different way that
It's like you put your brain into a fucking blender. Like you're
exactly
just spitting out like random words. Like you're like you're right there. Like you're kind of saying what you want to say, but doesn't make sense.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hated that feeling because there's so many things that I want to talk about and there's so many things that are going through my brain. And if I can express them the way I want to, then that's amazing. But if I can't, like I just, I knock myself down.
Me too.
And then after that, and I um, after that, that dab pen, I did pick it up a little bit, like once a week, stuff like that. But it was never like that addictive personality anymore. I felt like I had controlled that urge of smoking weed, and I felt so proud of myself. And even even to this day, like, I see my uncle smoking, or I see my cousin smoking, and I can be around people that are in the with with the substance, but I'll be fine. I'll have my urges controlled. I feel like I have a lot of more things in my mind that trump like smoking weed, and like maybe like, oh, okay, I have a meeting with like this client, I can't smoke because then I know how I'm gonna get, what I wanted, the vision that I want to like communicate clearly might be, you know, said a different way. And so I don't know. I sort of put it on standby for a little bit. And right now I'm not against smoking weed, but I just don't need it, you know. And I will occasionally, like every month, maybe once every 2 months, once, just like smoke, one, like have a joint, watch a movie, laugh my ass off, write if I want to write, and then I won't touch it for another 2 months. And it has changed. I was talking to my uncle the other day, and he um he was the one that got me the spa job. And he he reeked marijuana, and I was like, hey, well, I smoked the other day. And he was like, oh, really? Like, that's cool. And I told him, man, I'm really happy because I used it mainly just to have fun, just to like enjoy my night. I grabbed some chips, I put on a movie, I wrote some stuff, and that was it. It was no longer like an escape for me, like from,
Dude, that's where I'm at now.
and that's good. That's the best way to like view, drugs, or a substance. Because if you pick it up as as a necessity, then it's gonna be really hard to let that go. And you might depend on it one day. And I know because I depended on weed, like mainly to like wake up, to eat, to like shower, to go to school, in between classes, to think even. And I just started seeing myself, like degrading and like becoming a lesser version of myself, like sort of like drinking, just I wanted to talk, I wanted to say all these loud things. But for me, the way I smoke, or the way it made me feel, it just made me feel like more, not paranoid, but I overthink a lot. And once I smoke, like I overthink, like 10 times more,
Me too.
you know? And so even if I wanted to say something, I'll like, stop myself from doing it, because, hey, what if they don't think the way you do? What if, what you're gonna say doesn't sound smart enough? What if it's not what people want to hear? And right now I'm at a point where it's like, fuck if they don't care, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
bro, you can't worry about that.
exactly. And that I hate that I used to think that way, but I'm really proud of all the progress I've done. And yeah.
One thing I've seen with weed, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too, in the way it can like affect people, and it's affected me in some of the ways it's affected you, where like when I first started using weed, I was using it to like have a better analysis of the world, understand things with a sharper lens. But like it starts becoming more accessible and you start using things that are more potent. And what happens, and what I've seen happen to people, not everybody, but I'm sure you've seen it and like felt it, where it's this kind of like very subtle state of lethargy where you're smoking so frequently and your intent is to like use it for a like good purpose, but you start slowly slipping back into like a more isolated and anxious like form of yourself, where like weed is your like only way of like finding happiness sometimes. Like I've known so many people that when like they start smoking and like they enjoy it obviously, but like it's all they do, and like their goals outside of that aren't like fulfilled because it's like this cycle of like smoking so much and like it drains you. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've seen that or like felt that, but
Absolutely. It did start as that. And like I feel it now that, I have my smoke breaks, and then I casually like maybe like smoke just once or twice. And I feel that that high, that first feeling that you felt when you first picked up or you first smoked for the first time.
mhm,
And I told myself like, hey, I'm getting high, you know. I'm not like, cause like I know exactly what you mean. Like it got to a point where it was just not the same anymore. And I was always chasing that.
yeah,
Never got to that place. And it would just like a pastime. Like, okay, I'm gonna smoke, even though I'm just gonna feel this like weight. I'm never gonna feel that high anymore. And I understand completely. Like, yeah, you start becoming a lesser, a more anxious version of yourself because of all the smoking you've been doing. And now, when I take my long smoke breaks, I don't become that person because I just get high,
mhm,
get that high that I've
yeah,
always searched for in the first time I did it. So yes, no, definitely it happened to me, and I'm sure it has happened to so many people. And it's a difficult habit to break, but I had to touch bottom to look myself in the mirror and say, okay, this is probably not
yeah,
helping.
yeah,
And it was, I feel like from tragedy comes like a lot of growth, or like from the setbacks come so much. Like from failure, you can only grow from failure. Like it's okay to like be knocked down, but it's not okay to stay down, you know? And for me, that was one of my knockdowns. And as I was telling you guys earlier, for my mom, her being in that state she's in, that's one of her knockdowns. And that's what I told her, like, hey, it's okay to be knocked down, but you can't be knocked down forever. You gotta rise up. And sooner or later, whatever is bothering you, it doesn't have to be weed. It doesn't have to be any drugs. It could be any sort of thing. Maybe like your physical health, like you being, you know, at a certain weight that you don't want to be in, or you not being able to eat because of something. It starts getting to like, okay, like you want to grow. You want to have that self growth, and like look at yourself, assess what is going wrong, and try to fix it. And for me, I had to touch bottom just to figure out that, okay, or to get that discipline to be able to do to leave the drugs. And for my mom, I hope one day she also gets to experience, maybe not how I did, because it was like a really low point in my life, but I hope that she realizes it for herself, that it is okay to stay down. It is okay to be down as she is right now, but it's not okay to stay down. And you have to
Can't
fight
stay there.
this. Yes, because life is not gonna give you things. You gotta go take them. And I feel like a lot of people suffer from that. A lot of people are in that mind state of fear. Okay, like what if I don't make it? What if I'm not good enough? What if people don't like what I do? But you're never gonna know until you actually do it. And yes, at first, people are not gonna like your things. I mean, I see a lot of directors and I see a lot of big names, and I go and see their short films, like their first films that they made, and they're terrible, you know, but they did not get to the point where they're at by staying in fear. They got it from a place of love. And, you know, for them, it's more like, okay, this is what I'm doing for myself, not what I care about what other people think. It's mainly a place of love. And when I realized that, I read a book that said, one of the things it said was, okay, people that you look up to, don't view their work, but view the way they think. You know, study the way they think, not the way they work. Not don't study their work. Study the way they think, and that is a great way to you know, put things into perspective, because I am never gonna make the work that Quentin Tarantino does, or Wes Anderson, or you know, Steven Spielberg or Martin Scorsese. I'm never gonna be those guys. But if I can get their into their thoughts and understand the way they do things and why they do things, and that's gonna make me my version of myself, the version of myself that I want to reach one day. And maybe one day some kid just like me is gonna look up to me and say, I want to know how that guy thinks. Because it's about the mindset, not about, oh, looking at the work and being like, oh, I want to do that exactly the way he does it. That's never gonna work. That's already been done. You don't want to do what people have done already. You want to make what what you feel, you know, what drives you and what makes you happy. Because if it makes you happy, chances are it makes another million people happy. And since I read that book, all I've been thinking about was, okay, those people, they went through it. They went through it as well. No one successful, or every successful person was once called a loser, or was once called crazy for doing what they want to do in life. That's just the start. You know, you gotta go through the thick and thin to get to the fucking rainbow. And I just keep telling myself that it's a process, and it's a process, and it's a process. And the other day, my girlfriend came back, by the way, so we're happy now. She and I, we went to eat with one of our friends, and like two other couples, and she asked, hey guys, like, because we all wanted to like do so many things in our lives, and it was like, hey, if you guys could have the job that you want in life right now, like if I could be a director right now, she said, would you do it? Would you take it? Would you take the job? Everybody was like, yes, I would take it, definitely. I would start my own jewelry store. I would make my own like camera brand, whatever. And I was like, no, fuck no. Why would I want to do that? I have to go through everything first to get to that point. I have to study my ass off, because at least in my career, if I don't do the things right, it could jeopardize everything I'm working for. You know, if I have that feature film right now and I directed it, it fucking sucks ass because I'm not at the point where I know I'm gonna reach, then I'm just cheating myself from all the good things that are coming my way with patience. And they were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for your job, but not for mine. And I was like, no, it does make sense. Like, if you want to open up a jewelry store right now, do you know about accounting? Do you know about how the business works? Do you know about, you know, do you have contacts in the business? Do you know where to get the stones? Do you know how to do all these things? Like, okay, well, no, but no, it's no but. Like, okay, right there, you started with a really huge red flag. Like, you're not gonna be successful because you don't know the basics. You don't have a foundation. You haven't been through it. And you have to go through it to learn all that.
Facts. Yeah, dude. I think that that's so underrated. People like, oh, you were talking about your workflow. I'm looking at like new ways to make beats, and I'm sitting here looking at these producers that have been doing it for 20 years. They're like, do it like this, build it like this, start like this. I'm like, but that's how they think. That works for their organization, their customization for how they think and how they complete a project. So I shouldn't analyze my work and creativity based on like the process in which I create it. It's really just like about this paper I'm writing in English, bro. It's about how beauty causes stress relief. So just because like your process did all these things, what it ended up to be, bro, is something that you're not even gonna have like that's gonna be the meat of it, the process, and you have no control over like what opportunities may get thrown your way. But like I feel like taking them, like you said, by the horns when they come your way, like that's important, bro. That's really important.
Definitely. And at least where I live, in Mexico, Monterrey, you definitely see that everywhere. I know we talked about this already, but I just want to like talk about it for the podcast and people to understand that, you know, if you live in a first world country, you're automatically in a position of privilege. And I never knew that until I came back to Mexico. I had no idea that what I was doing was something that not a lot of people get to do. And it's not the same over here. I go to college, but I don't live in a dorm. I live with my grandparents in a small apartment, and I'm fine with it because I know that my vision and my hard work is gonna get me far. And I feel like a lot of people have to get in that mindset of, okay, if I don't make it, then nothing's gonna be handed to me. And even if you have parents that have a good steady income, which is not it's not really often, by the way, as well, and you have a good, social credit and stuff like that, that is not that is not the person that you're meant to be. And you can't cheat yourself out of the person that you're meant to be. You always have to be able to find or keep, grinding or keep working hard to reach that person that you want to be. And I noticed that when I moved back here, that everything is a lot more, it's a lot faster. You know, if you don't go to class one day, you're fucked, like for the entire semester. You only have two missed classes, and if you get a third one, you're out. They don't let you do the exam. They kick you out of the class. And over here, it's like, oh, you didn't go to class. Why didn't you go to class? Like, what is wrong with you? And I started looking at that because at UCF, I really felt like I had that cushion, that oh, it's gonna be all right because it's an easy class or it's only 4 classes a semester. Well, over here, I'm doing 8 classes, and I'm super fully focused on them because if I don't make it, then I'm stuck. I'm stuck where I am, and where I am is not where I want to be in 10 years, or in 15 years, or in 20 years, and that drive has really helped me understand that life is not a game, and life is not something that you're not supposed to be taken seriously. It's the most serious thing you should be taking. Your life is the most important thing for yourself. You have to value it like it's fucking gold. And if you don't, then life is gonna blow right past you. And life is not easy. It's never gonna be an easy thing. And I started noticing that my 19th year, when I went to college. That's when I first started noticing it. Like, things are not gonna be given to you. Like, it's not easy. And knowing what you want to do in life is not easy. But once you get that passion and like that feeling that this is what I want to do with my life, or this is what I really want to start with, you should pursue it 110%, because there's always going to be another person doing that same thing that you want to do, or that has 2 years above you, or 5 or 10. But if you think about it like that, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to always be thinking about, okay, this is my goal for this year. This is my goal in 6 months. I'm going to accomplish it no matter what. And if you do accomplish it, like, so many doors can open up for you. Because I know for me, so many doors have opened up for me just by saying, okay, I'm good for the gig, I can go. I'm available. And from that, I've had so many jobs or opportunities lined up for me. And people are starting to recognize my name. And I talked to my boss the other day. I was like, hey, man, how many people out of those like 300 people in the chat actually do text you when you ask for a job, or you're asking for someone for a job? And he says, very few, man, like 4 or 5. And I'm so impacted by that. Like it really hits me, because all those people, if they really wanted to do that, if they had the drive for it, they would be doing it. They would be getting their name out. They would be trying to find ways into the industry and getting, getting seen. And I feel like for me, that's the most important thing. School is starting to become, at least for me, in my opinion, it's starting to become something that you can do. You don't necessarily have to do. Over there, I talked to my grandfather the other day, and he said, Aaron, in my days, 20 people graduated from college, and you went to whatever company you wanted to work with, and you said, hey, listen, this is my diploma. Here's my diploma. I graduated from so and so. I want a job. And then you stayed there for like 30 years of your life, and that was your life. Now 20,000 people are graduating every year from just one college. It's starting to become more like your experience rather than your diploma.
Dude, definitely. And that's back to what I was saying. Like, everyone's like not everyone, a lot of people whose privilege comes from their position in America is because like their parents had money. So it's like, if your parents paying to put you through school, are you using that as an opportunity or just a place in time? Because you have to turn 25 anyways, bro. Like, are you gonna do it just by passing time, or you gonna like be the pilot, bro? Like, time flies. You gonna be the pilot, or you just gonna like sit in the cockpit?
Just seeing it pass by.
Yeah, bro. Like, what type of shit is that?
Definitely. I mean, I know for myself, I want to be the pilot of my own ship. And
Yeah.
it's always been a thing for me. And I've always had that mentality where, like, if I don't like something, I'm going to try and change it. And if I can do something for myself, I'm going to do it. I know that life is not just going to be 20 years old every single day. I'm not going to be 21 every fucking day. There's going to come a time where I look at myself in the mirror, I'm going to be 40, and I want to be able to say, hey, are you doing what you love? Because it's so much broader than just like my teenage years. And I feel like I got that. Do you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I feel like I got that at an age where it was good. Like I didn't have to. And I feel like if I stayed at UCF, I would have gone through a whole different route. I would have partied my 4 years. I would have been stuck, like maybe going to a really shitty med school where then I become like maybe a nurse or some shit like that because I didn't fucking learn anything. And that's usually what happens. But once I got back and I started film school, I did not view school as work. I viewed it as life experience. And I viewed it as things that I have to learn if I want to be successful in my life.
That's
And
beautiful, bro.
those experiences, I go create, because if it's my life, I don't want to be wasting 1 second of it not doing what I love and staying back. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to look back and say, okay, I was lazy all throughout my 20s and then I didn't amount to anything. I want to be able to say, like, hey, in my 20s, I made my first film. It fucking sucked. But then I got to meet this one person who liked my writing or maybe liked my cinematography or something. And he offered me a job this place. And then I went on to work for them for a little while. And then I got myself a name. And then I made myself a director of photography. And then I started working with big directors, stuff like that. That one day I'm able to say, hey, that process I went through was not for nothing. Every
Yeah,
single
bro.
hardship was for this one moment, or for everything I had. And honestly, man, like as I said, um, at the work I did yesterday, I worked 6 hours, and it was the first creatively free experience I had, where I had to create the whole video. I had to illuminate it the way I wanted to and set the whole mood. And the woman was like, hey, are you more tired or hungry? And I said, hungry. I never get tired of what I do, because if you do what you love, you're never gonna be tired of it, ever. And I'm so happy I get to live the life I live. Even though there's been setbacks, I know I'm at a place where, you know, it's exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, man. I want to
No.
ask, like, when you have a rough day or like one of those setbacks, like, what do you say to yourself? Like, who do you look to like get driven or find that inspiration again?
Well, I think I've always been more of like a lonesome person. So I try to, no, no. I talk to a few different people sometimes. Sometimes I talk to Austin. I would just call him just to see how his day is, and that would get me motivated. That would get me happy. Some other times I try to go to the gym, get my mind out of what is happening in my daily life. And other times I, I push through it, whatever problem I'm dealing with, I try not to escape from it. I try to confront it as real as I can. If I'm feeling like really sad or something, I would just tell myself, okay, yeah, you feel sad. But you're okay. Like, you're in this moment of time. You yourself, you have your limbs, you have your mind, you're healthy, and there's no reason why you should be sad. And sometimes, honestly, like videos that you in YouTube, motivational videos, help me a lot.
Me too.
Or just, I have this one movie and music as well. There's this one soundtrack of this one movie called Tick Tick Boom. It's new Andrew Garfield movie, which talks about a guy called Stephen Larson, who was the creator of a very important Broadway musical called Rent. And he sadly passed away a day before the first show in Broadway, the opening of the show. But in the movie, it's this 29-year-old guy who has been writing a musical for 8 years. He lives in a studio apartment in Soho, New York. And every day is a struggle for him, but every day is like he just keeps working and working and working towards his goal. And I relate to that character a lot because, well, when I first saw that movie, I had I was, I had so many things going on in my life. I had no time for nothing. Like I couldn't waste a single second of my day, or I wouldn't be able to do everything I wanted to do. And it was the same for that guy. And just seeing that person driven by love of his work inspires me so much. So whenever I'm in a low place and I get myself sad, I think of that guy, Stephen Larson, and what he had to go through, and his his drive, his own like passion for his work outgrew every single problem in his life. And I just want to be, I just want to get to that point where nothing can stop me because I have such a great vision of what I want to do. And even if I have a sad day, I can use it as motivation to do work or to write a script. The other day, I got this idea to write a script about a professor who, a student, a very misbehaved student who is grown from rich parents, and he has a rich background, and then a professor at his local college who well, that guy, he never does work or anything. And the professor once, at the end of the school year, he tells him, hey, listen, I'm not going to give you your grade. I want you to give yourself your grade. You're not going to pass it if I give you your grade because you don't deserve it. But I want to see what you think of yourself. And the guy ends up, giving himself a 6. It's not a passing grade, it's a D. And later in life, he ends up becoming a very successful person. And he talks to the professor. He meets him up at a random place. And the guy tells him, thank you for giving me that. Because without that, that was the first time someone told me, no, you're not going to pass. No, the first time someone confronted me ever. And, that came from a place where I was angry. I was very angry that day. I don't know the reason I was angry, but I was angry that day, and it just came to my mind. And using that anger, I just wrote. I just kept writing. So I feel like sometimes I use my emotions to further my work. And I feel like if I could give someone an advice, it's just like if you ever feel any type of way, any emotion, just make it a positive outcome. Don't let it be a negative form of a negative means of falling for falling in your bed or not being able to go out because you're feeling angry or whatever. Maybe instead of thinking about it that way, okay, maybe I don't have to go out, but I can do something for myself and try to use it as a positive way of channeling that emotion, not in a negative way. But yeah, that has helped me out a lot. All those things, music, motivational videos, trying to channel my emotions into something positive, and just knowing about people that have, and really keeping that in mind, knowing that people have been through what I've been through, but have persevered. And through dedication and perseverance and willpower, you can amount to so many great things. And I just keep myself repeating that. That's about it.
I think about that a lot when I'm doing something hard or challenging. I'm like, some other human being has done this, and it's completely possible for me to do the same thing. But it's up to me if I can like mentally overcome any challenges that are on the way. Like Marcus Aurelius, he was the only Roman emperor to be a philosopher, and he wrote a book called Meditations. He documented just like his thoughts on life that's very philosophical, but he was saying, other than physical pain, anything that like you're feeling, any pain you're feeling that's not physical is all like your mental state. It's how you're perceiving what's around you. And obviously, like there are times when things are hard, but it's up to like that mindset you adopt when you're facing those tough times where you can overcome anything that's difficult, you know.
Yes, definitely right. In that talk I had with the doctor yesterday, where he was speaking a lot about how it's not the strongest or the smartest or the quickest or the toughest person that overcomes, their situation, is the one that most adapts to the change. And I feel like that's very powerful what he said, because as long as you can adapt to any situation that you're faced with and say, fuck it, bro, if I'm here, well, I'm here, and you can do whatever you can, and there's no one that can stop you. And yeah, that was, it reminded me a lot of that, what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Austin,
Dude,
thank you for bringing Aaron on
something.
here.
Oh yeah, for sure, bro. For sure. Dude, Aaron, what was I gonna say? Damn. Well, another point is I'm actually writing a paper right now about how beauty can cause stress reduction. So I think like that's an interesting perspective when you're talking about how when you're creating art, thinking about the thought process or like the idea or ideas in your immediate vicinity, that's like layers of profound ideas. Like if you're talking about your own experience, it's like here. If you're talking about like the feeling, it's like right here. If you're talking about the idea, it's out here. And if you're talking about the way in which you think about it all, that's everything. So I feel like this essay I'm writing now can give you like a lot of like insight on that, bro. Like if you're ever in a hard place, just think about how the person on the other end will perceive like more than just like the immediate screen. Like there's layers to your work, man. Like the hardships you're going through will be somebody else's blueprint for like relieving themselves of like their own mental shackles. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like you're
exactly.
saying, like Michael, you're saying too, like the things you've been through, you feel like someone else is going through it. Like honestly, not all the time. Yeah, in a very general sense, but like one day y'all two are gonna be the blueprint for like so many young people, and it's gonna be like they're gonna look at your journey and pick up so many like tips and tools and how to like pursue their own dreams and like get shit popping, you know what I mean? Like do what they want to do. Take life by the horns.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I've always wanted to, I know that work, the work comes from a deeper place than just wanting to do it. I know every story has a reason why it was written, or everything is not just black and white. It's gray. There's so much more in it than just, oh, this is why they did it. No, I mean, yes, it started with an idea, but what was that idea founded from? You know, what what experiences went towards building that idea? And for me, making what I want to do in my life comes from my past experiences in my childhood, and trying to put the things that I learned, or the things that I experienced, or the things that I most value into my work. And not necessarily has to be the same thing. It could be a metaphor. It could be metaphorically said, or a storytelling. I could write a story about dragons, or and the main idea of it has to do with like my childhood. or like something that I learned in my past experiences, or an idea that I've had for a while. And so I try to, whenever I find a project that I really long for, I I really enjoyed, or I kind of get the sense of what the director or the screenwriter was trying to say there. I usually try to like deconstruct that idea and try to go to the root of what it was based off of, you know. And you start to see that everyone is just human, everyone is just like you. Like people that are in the industry, be huge people, started just being the same as me. And they had their ideas, and they put it in beautiful, they showed it in a beautiful way. And uh, for example, not in my career, but my girlfriend's brother, he just started playing soccer, and he's a professional soccer player in this major organization here in Mexico. And I would see him on TV or like in the stadium, and the next day I would talk to him, and he would be so excited about like that pass he made, or that shot on goal he shot. He'd be
Yeah, that's insane.
like, what the fuck was happening? I started to notice, like, all those big names are human as well. They're not just people you see in the screen. They have lives, deal with things. They have problems. They have struggles. They have huge moments, but also really bad, really down moments. And that put me a lot into perspective, because if I could view the people that I admire as being my peers, or being just another person, then I can really, sort of understand that they also deal with things, and it's not just me that is doing the things that I'm doing a certain way. Maybe they didn't start how I started, but they also had to go through struggles. They didn't get to there just by, you know, writing one simple script. No, they wrote billions of scripts, and then one of them was liked by a producer, and then that's how it started. But I just try to like dumb it down from that huge like pedestal that I used to put him in, and like seeing them as more as like a constructive like blueprint, how you said, like, okay, like if I want to get to that point, I have to be patient, and I have to go through the steps, and I have to do what I have to do right now to maybe, you know, be there in the future. I'm not sure how long it'll take, but I know damn well if I do the things that I have to do, and the things that I love, and I do it right with passion and 100%, I'm going to achieve that, because there's no one that's going to tell me otherwise. And in this world, the people that put in effort are the people that succeed. And I feel like right now I'm at a point where I'm fueled by a lot of things, and I'm super passionate about so many things, and I'm really happy I'm where I'm at, because 2 years ago when I was at UCF, I was such a different person, and I've grown so much. I feel like from my career and my choices, and my relationships with the people I hang out with, and being able to meet people that think like-mindedly, or have a vision about their work, or are driven with passion. That's the most beautiful thing. And I feel like, you know, the choices that I've made have made me the person that I am today, and I would not change anything about it.
I want to touch on where you were talking about placing certain people on like this godlike pedestal. I think about that a lot. And I think that, under capitalism, we have let certain elites define success in ways that can be unattainable for a lot of people. And when there are like groups of people that can't, get to that level of success that's portrayed, they continue to place like power into these hands of these like rich people, and they think they can't achieve that success. They think they can't, make it like that person did. Like I think about the way people look at the Kardashians, like we've given these people so much like attention and effort, and instead of directing that effort and attention toward ourselves, we tell ourselves we can't make it, you know. But at the same time, I like thinking about that too, because it helps us decide and understand like how have our economic ways of viewing reality and society determined what is success, you know.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I think it's determined a lot by, like you said, like the perception of what success is and who controls that narrative. Because once you have control over a narrative, it's like world peace. It becomes also at the will of your manipulation. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's a good fucking point.
Because like there's an elite few people, and I say this in a song, bro. Like we all fight. No, there's no world peace because a few fight. I say that exact thing in this song that's coming out soon. And there's literally no world peace because of you fight, bro. And like our parents put us into this world and we're talking about this now, but like, bro, your parents could have taught you something based on a narrative that's like not applying to who I am, and then we don't get along. You know what I mean? So we have
Mm-hmm.
to have that awareness as a society that just because there's a perception or a narrative that you're taught doesn't mean that that person is that thing. Like you have to let go of the preconceptions, the expectations, and you had to have the courage and bravery to look someone in the eyes, like you like look life in the eyes, and like be vulnerable and have a real conversation. Because without it, bro, you fall into the crab pot of the elite wanting to just control the narrative, bro, and cook you to the right temperature.
That ties back to like two things. One of the things I was gonna say is a quote from this rapper called LP from Run the Jewels, and he says like all of us are targeted, but all we're doing is arguing. Like all of us are like looked at as little like pieces of this cog to like give certain groups more money, but we don't understand that like when we see racism and sexism among like small groups of people, and like poor white people or poor women or poor black people, and they're like having these interpersonal struggles, we can really tie it all back to like these certain groups and sects of people who are like, we don't want these, communities to work together to set their own wages, to have their own community oversight of police, to have their own ways of like organizing their structures, to have their own ideas of success within the community. It's all defined by people that control, you know, what is acceptable in society, what's okay to talk about, what's not okay to talk about. But I also wanted to bring up this essay I just wrote for social theory, about like how differences within society, like I basically was saying how throughout American history, differences have been held in contempt. So I can look at you guys right now and I'm like, it's so beautiful that you're in Mexico and you're in Philadelphia and we're all of different races and ethnicities, and we still can like celebrate that instead of hating it, instead of, looking at those differences as something to separate us. We can say like all of us have struggled in some way and we can unite and like achieve our goals for goodness. But I think what we need to understand and what other people need to understand is just because someone doesn't look like you doesn't mean they can't suffer like you. That's something I read about in my essay, is like all of us can like deal with very like destructive things. And for like what you were saying, to be like taught by your parents, like, oh, these people are this, and like don't listen to them, don't look at them that way. It's like it's bad because those people that you're taught to like despise can also feel like so many of the same feelings that you're feeling. You know what I mean? I hope that
Yeah, I
all
think
came
we're
out coherently. I was like,
no, I think we're unlocking like a new awareness that we are aware that other people are aware. So there's self-awareness, but there's also like community awareness on a different level that I think our generation is being very like outspoken about, because like we really have no like bro, we're pure souls. We have no reason to not want a better world for people that don't have the privileges that we have. There's no reason. I think about this every day. I'm like, why? Like, bro, fuck power. God knows if he puts power in my hands, I'm gonna redistribute that shit to the world. So it's like, I think we're realizing, bro, like our self-awareness gets stronger if we help other people become self-aware. Cause then that awareness amounts to like a better world. So
yeah,
I think we're like on the same page. It's just like, bro, like the elite controlling the narrative. I'm just like worried about future generations that don't
me
have that
too.
awareness that people are controlling their narrative like on their timelines and stuff. Whether it's an algorithm, it's still programmed to have like a manipulation effect. Basically
Like
put you in a different state of mind.
when we were talking about TikTok before the podcast, think about when you go on TikTok, like the founders of TikTok, the people at Hulu are deciding what's like good to talk about, what's good to place your energy on, what's good to focus on. Not to hate these people, but like it's the D'Amelio family. Hulu has a show now called the D'Amelio Show, and it's about like the Charlie D'Amelio family who like all just got this spiked in like wealth and notoriety because of their like daughter who dances. But like that's what elites have decided is like acceptable. Is like watch these people dance. They're not
Mhm.
provoking any thoughts. They're not promoting any like outward message. They're not really inspiring creativity. It's I'm gonna do this motion and everybody else is gonna follow it with the same sound. And I'm gonna do it over and over again. No, I'm not gonna dress like unique. I'm not gonna put like an important, caption or something. It's just like lethargic, easy like material. But
It's
like
following the
that's
script.
yeah, but that's what we have to talk about, like who controls the narrative, because when you have the narrative being controlled by people at TikTok and Hulu to be some like easygoing, like scripted video, these conversations are going to become more and more rare.
Mm-hmm. Not on this channel.
Not
Not
on
on
this
this
channel.
channel.
No.
Not on this channel.
On this channel, because what I was thinking was, yes, the narrative is controlled, but you also have power of what you view,
Yeah.
what narrative you want to choose. Because I feel like the internet right now is at a point where everything is accessible and you can learn about everything and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So yes, TikTok is one of like the instant gratification. As we were talking before the podcast, it's instant gratification. And I feel like at this day and age, a lot of people suffer from, or not suffer, but are just wanting instant gratification because of all these like new things that we have, and everything's going so fast. And
Yeah.
game on the app store, and you delete it 5 minutes afterwards, and then you get another one and another one, because it's built like that. It's
Mhm.
starting to being built as, okay, you're done with it, 5 minutes, what's next? And that happened in the talk yesterday with the doctor. I heard he said that right now people that are coming off, their diplomas, they want everything really fast. They want to be the head person in their first year, when it's not really like that, you know. You have to really work for it, and it's a slow process at times, and it's nothing like instant gratification. And I feel like all those, what you view, and it comes down to the attitude that you have. Do you want to, you know, be happy for a moment in time, but in your life, you're not really that happy with it? Or do you want to leave all that bullshit behind and work on yourself, which is going to take time? It's going to take, because changing is hard work. You don't change from sundown to sunrise,
Or being comfortable. You don't change being comfortable.
Exactly. That's a very great word. Being comfortable, because I feel like right now what is really popular is being comfortable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being uncomfortable in your situation, or being uncomfortable trying to change, has been brought down so much and is not being talked about at all. You exactly what you said. I go into TikTok and I see these like 10, like 15-second videos, 30-second videos of like people doing another challenge. And I know my girlfriend loves them. And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this challenge." And I honestly, I hate TikTok for that. I'm like, why would I waste my time doing a challenge when I have work to do? I have shit to do. I don't want to do this challenge, because yes, and I feel like honestly, likes and followers have really like led that conversation, because now it's like we're such in a digital age that it's like, oh, I have 10 new followers, and that's the highlight of your day. When instead back then it's like, oh, I finished this book, and like I wrote this essay, and yeah, nobody saw it, but for you that's got to mean something. But now it's like, it's exactly what I said about before the podcast, where teachers now want to be popular and want that 5-star rating for being popular, instead of doing the hard work and teaching and being strict for life, for the next, for the things that you actually need to learn that are hard work.
It's
And
not
now,
gonna come from your phone.
exactly, it's not going to come from your phone. And nowadays, when a teacher is rough or is strict or has criticism, it's like, oh, he's doing a bad job. Oh, I paid to come here, not for you to tell me, like, all this shit. And it's like, no, bro, like, you come here, like, yes, you are entitled to a word, but in my class, it's my rules. And you either follow them or you get an F.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that simple. And I feel like that's what has become so much more rare these days. That like mental
Structure.
toughness in the system. Now it's more like, oh, okay, like this happens, so it's our problem. Like we have to fix it.
We see the structure working for like a select few. You know what I mean? And then like the schooling structure though, bro, I feel like I agree. Strictness shouldn't define good or bad teaching skills, or like, a parent parenting somebody else's kids. I feel like that should be accepted more, because that's ego, bro. That's such ego. If you like really don't want to be taught or like drilled on something, that's your ego fighting back, and that's you resisting change. Not that you can't it's like you can accept the information and then do what you want to do. But if you're automatically against it, but also I think some professors, bro, the delivery is is coming to a point in time where it has to transform to the students. Like we were
Mm.
saying, like we are the leaders of this world, whether people like it or not. Capitalism thrives off young people, and the downfall, the debt, or the uprise of young people. So it's like at a certain point, like we have to come together regardless. So it's like, are the elite gonna keep trying to control the narrative? Are the kids gonna keep like, avoiding self-awareness? It's like we need to come to an agreement. I feel like there's people on both sides that are trying to do that, but then there's people on both sides trying to pull them back. So it's
Yeah.
like a courage too, like, and not get the validation from social media for like, it's not a like I repost stuff on social media all the time, but it's just like I'm not gonna scroll past it, bro. Like all this bullshit you're gonna see on your timeline, if you click on my story, you're gonna get a balance of both. All right, you're gonna get something that I'm doing, something that's going on in the world, something that's relevant to something bigger than me, and something that's gonna make you laugh. But I'm not gonna sit here and be blind to it. And
Yeah.
I'm also not gonna sit here and be consumed by it because that's not who I am. So it's like, bro, like that balance, bro, I see it in y'all and y'all inspire me. So like when I'm getting validation from social media, it's like seeing that y'all liked it and I'm like, bet, like they saw my artwork. And like when I put something out, it's not for validation. It's more like to spread love and positivity into the world, bro. That's how my mind works. I'm like, once I put music out, it's out in like the multiverse of sounds and vibrations is out there with all of it. Like I was listening to this Frank Ocean interview and he was explaining how he thinks of like his artistry. He's still living in like the same, the point in time we're living can be compiled into humanity. So we're alive with all these kings and pharaohs and emperors, but also like the future of what may happen and the things that just happened. So it's like we're all living in the same time period. We all have a role, a part to play. And it's like resisting that change, bro. It only does bad things.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on like two things you guys were saying. It relates to like when you were talking to Austin about like, using your platform to like speak up for what you believe in. And also when Aaron was talking about like, the everything's accessible now. Like if you want to change something, you can work towards it. I was reading a book called The Road Less Traveled, and the author is talking about, he's a therapist. So it's like talking about how this, I think like Arabic guy was like talking to him about how like they want like the area he was in like wants him to cut his hair or something like that. And he like really didn't like that. He didn't like that the chief of police was handling it the way he was. And he was just like, ranting to the therapist about how like wrong it was. And the therapist was like, well, what are you going to do about it? Like, you can move out, you can cut your hair, or you can like run for that seat. Like, try taking the seat of police. Like, if you think things can be like improved upon, put that individual power into your own hands and do what you can with it. And I think with social media and just like the state of society now, people have forgot they have individual power. Like if all of us wanted to like run for city council wherever we are, like we could do that. Like it's entirely possible. It's not going to be easy, but
That's
like
so crazy though, bro.
we
Like
could do that. Like if we like use organization to like change things, we can. That's one thing that upsets me about the left, because I'm on the left, but a lack of like drive and organization has led us to just become like a group of people that complain about things.
mhm.
And we forget that like, oh yeah, there's like somebody in our state who's like trying to ban abortions or override this local rule. We can like advocate and call their office and like tell them what we want. But like it's up to us as individuals to like use that power we have.
Dude, I need to be better about like, exercising my individual power, definitely. And I'll talk to you more about like what I have in mind for like the next year after the podcast, bro. But yeah, bro, like when we had Aiden on, he was talking about how to get young people involved in politics. I think we need to have more of those discussions. Like, how do people like shift their focus from like immediate satisfaction to like long-term benefit of like their, energy placement? It's like you have to balance it. And I see TikTok, blinding the youth more than benefiting the youth.
That's what I talk about on my other channel, man, is like we live in a society that's like feeds off our addiction. Like the validation, like, but it also exploits our loneliness. Like Aaron, you were talking about like something really important about like those 10 likes you can get and like how that might make your day. But that's because like we if you don't leave your house or you don't talk to people and you see like 10 human beings just recognize you, it makes you feel important. So and you're instilled with like this like fear about loss, fear about being uncomfortable. And now you want to transfer that because we're naturally social beings. We're like, okay, I don't want to be uncomfortable. So I'm going to like go online. It's comfortable on there. If I lose, I can just like, try something else. I can make another account. But what happens is like, you forget that what really matters is like real conversations, a real hug from a person, like the acknowledgement of your importance as a human being. But then when you're like starting to feel uncomfortable with the real world, you start feeling comfortable in the digital world. Well, the digital world, half of it is just like trying to gnaw at your attention and your primal urges of like sexual desires, food, the feeling that like you're not as ripped as the person you're looking at. So you need to get this machine and do this and that. And it's just like, there's so much that's trying to get at your mind at once,
And the root of it's, making money. And the root of money is evil. So it's like, we need to love our neighbors more, bro. Like uplift people that are our age on these apps and tell them like, yo, like, yeah, this is a nice outfit, instead of giving them a like it can be something small. Like, there's microaggressions that people get, that people display of racism. There can be microaggressions of like positive interactions on social media that I try to like do. Like something that I know one of my friends has a problem getting off their phone, and like, a code word, like something to make them snap out of their their cycle of scrolling, because it's really not that deep, bro. Like just lock your phone, put it down, and you'll gain clarity. And then with clarity, bro, it's like waking up in the morning, knowing you're awake, giving yourself 5 minutes to be awake before you move. That clarity, bro, is like, it's like offsets what the effects of being on your phone for 5 minutes will do to your mind. For like meditation, bro, tap into that meditation, yoga, practice that. I've been doing morning yoga, bro, and I just feel like ready for life to just like come on, life. You know what I mean? Instead of like, all right, now I'm awake 2 hours into my day. No, I think we need to like redefine what's cool, bro. And like, I have a lot of people that have shown me what's cool that actually have the potential to do that, that may or may not be watching this, maybe on the other side of the planet. I don't know them, but like, let's start meditating more. Like for real, like 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes every other day will, dude, that will make you want to like do so much more for your mental health on such a small level. Even your breathing patterns when you're stressed out subconsciously throughout the day, like holding in your breath and then releasing your breath and then not breathing in, like just kind of like pausing your mental triggers, taking control of your life, because
Yeah.
it starts at small things.
Definitely. I with what you said about the breathing exercise, I remember this podcast I listen to often. It's called Think um Think Less, Talk Smart. I think it's called like that. I think it's in Spotify, and it's about this guy that interviews professors at Stanford. And one of the ones I saw was how to deal with tough conversations or how to deal with your anxiety. And one of the things he said was that if one of the instead of viewing your position, let's say you're about to talk with someone important, and you have important things to say, and your anxiety starts getting to you. Instead of putting your narrative in a way that is negative, like, oh, I'm super nervous, I'm sure they're not gonna like it, and I'm shaking so much, they're staring at me, stuff like that, view it as a positive thing. Say, okay, I feel this way, I feel this anxiety, because anxiety is also excitement, you know and you could view it as, hey, I'm feeling this way because I have so many great things to tell them. And I'm feeling this way because I know that at the end they're gonna like what I'm saying. And it's built up excitement. And he also talks about a few different ways to be able to reduce your stress, and how doing these physical exercises can help in just about a minute, and just like reducing your stress. The first one was exactly what you said about breathing in and breathing out. Try this. Breathe in as much as you can, and then one more time, and then release. And do that 3 times. One more. And you instantly feel calmer, you feel good, you feel more relaxed, you don't feel as stressed. And the other thing he said was move your eyes side to side for 30 seconds. And that triggers a nerve in your brain, in your frontal lobe, which has to do with how do you say, with attention to detail, with focus, with being alert. And it has helped me so much, just like thinking in that way, and being able to put my negative thoughts into something positive, being able to change the narrative inside my brain, where I'm saying, okay, I'm nervous because I'm not sure they're going to like what I'm saying. But instead of being nervous about it, saying, okay, I'm not nervous, I'm excited because I have so many great things to say.
Yeah, facts.
And I feel like,
Thanks for sharing that.
no, say thank you for saying what you were saying, because it brought me to that the thought I had. And it, it's just about how you view things as well, in my opinion. You could view things in a negative way, you can view things in a more positive way. And once you change your narrative, it can change the way you view things so much. Just with that example I've given you, you can use it in whatever, point in your life. And also, you know, little mental, little, uh, you know, gestures, I guess, with your, how you communicate with your body. Maybe leaning in when you talk expresses a more, confident part of yourself. Leaning backwards can, you know, be as if you're like not looking forward to being doing what you're supposed to be doing. And little things like that have helped me to realize that, okay, some other person can relate to this. And I feel like for me, being able to tell myself, okay, I'm not the only one that feels this way, has helped me out so much. And being able to have those tools in my pocket, and being able to know when to use them and when not, has helped me out a lot with what I do.
What did I miss?
It's beautiful.
You missed our breathing exercises. So it's the guy from Stanford I was telling you, the podcast. He talks about how to deal with stress and changing the narrative of your anxiety and stress. And so instead of viewing, if you have an important conversation, instead of viewing it as, okay, this stressful situation, like it's a stressful situation. I'm getting anxious because I'm not sure they're gonna like what I'm saying, or I'm not sure what I'm saying is gonna, be important for them. Instead of being able to say that, change the narrative into something positive and say, okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm excited to tell them what I have to tell them, to show them what I have to show them. And just being able to change that narrative from stressful to excitement it can help out so much. Let's say you have a test, okay, and you're feeling very nervous about it, but you study, and you're feeling nervous. Instead of saying, okay, I'm feeling nervous because I'm not sure I'm gonna pass it, change the narrative into something positive and say, I'm feeling excited. This feeling I have inside me, this all over my body is excitement because I'm gonna crush this test. And just by changing that mindset, it can affect so much in your life, and it positively, and it can make a huge change in how you view things. And I also have these breathing exercises that help me calm myself down and make myself more focused. And so what you want to do is that you breathe in and then breathe one more time and then let it out.
I love breathing exercises, man.
And once you do that around 2 or 3 times, you start feeling more calm as your body starts, because it comes down to anatomy. He said your lungs are actually built, you have little air bubbles in your lungs that hold in the air. And once you hold in that air, it starts becoming carbon monoxide, or whatever it is that we let out. And once we let it out and we keep it in, we're essentially letting all that carbon monoxide leave our body with those two breaths. And then we're kind of cleansing ourselves. And by cleansing, it makes your body more and more calm. It gives you a sense of relaxation. And the other exercise, it's not a breathing exercise, but it's more of like an obstacle exercise, where you like move your eyes from one side to the other. And what that's supposed to do, it triggers a nerve in your frontal lobe that makes you more focused. It makes you more sharp. It makes you attention to detail, and it helps you out. I'm not saying use that with all your like traumatic experiences, but it can help you out in your day-to-day life. Let's say you have a talk with someone important, or you're dreading having that important like job interview. And when you do those exercises and you start telling yourself, okay, I'm excited for this interview because it's gonna go great, and I can't wait to show them who I am, instead of saying, oh my God, I'm stressed because I'm not sure they're gonna like me. It can do, it could change the way it affects your job interview or whatever you have that's going on. It can change completely the way you handle yourself, which is, it has helped me a lot, because having those tools and being able to know those tools and being able to know when to use them and when not, and having that sort of like bullet points, can make me as well more calm about it, because now I don't enter a conversation without thinking about those things, or being able to enter a conversation without having any sort of knowledge about what I'm gonna talk about. And one thing that he said was being able to have something prepared, a speaking note prepared, and then being able to throw it all away in the middle of a conversation is the best thing that you can do. Because you never know where a conversation can lead you. But being open and curious about and interested about what the other person is talking about, instead of entering the conversation with a judgmental sort of view can help you out so much, and it can become a conversation that is, is very, very meaningful. And yes, so those exercises and being able to like work on myself on the parts that I know I'm not as good as have helped me, just work on them. And well, I always try to work on my what I know I'm not as strong in. And so yeah, basically.
Yeah, dude. I've noticed like breathing exercises really help me out too, especially like waking up in the morning. And I don't know if you guys ever done the Wim Hof technique. That I like that one. It's like this breathing exercise where you sit down and I think you take around 30 deep breaths where you're breathing in more than you're breathing out. So you feel your lungs expanding. And then after those 30 deep breaths, you hold your breath for as long as you can. And if your endurance like increases dramatically, the amount of time you can hold your breath increases dramatically. It's really helpful. I love it.
I'll try it out.
Yeah.
In the mornings, you said?
It doesn't have to be in the whenever you want, but it's also like a
Oh,
form of meditation. So, it's up to you. But Aaron, thank you so much
That's
for
fire.
being on the shift, man. It's been a fucking pleasure talking to you. Tell some of the people like, what you're up to and some goals you have and where they can find you, all that good stuff.
right. Yeah. Well, right now I'm about to release a short film. It's called My Dearest Friend. I worked through it this summer. I have a couple projects I'm making. Uh, I went to, sh- I shot a music video with Austin Summer as well. And
When?
Dude,
well,
we need to get around to that shit too.
yeah, we need to get around to editing that. But aside from that, I've been working on myself. I'm in my third semester of a film school. It's not a dream anymore. It's as we started, it's something that I'm pursuing, and I'm really happy that I'm doing it. I'm working with the government with shooting the mayor's office and doing, camera work for them. I actually have a job with them next Saturday, which I'm getting paid around $70 for that just one day, which for
Mhm.
me is good money because in Mexico it's 1,400 pesos, which is,
Damn.
to be honest. And aside from that, I have a client that works a spa. Um, she's a spa owner, and I actually got to work with her yesterday for the first time. And aside from that, just I've been busy with work and making opportunities for myself in my line of work, which I'm really happy I took this path because I remember, me and Austin, we used to talk about it, and I used to tell him all the time, I don't want to be here. I want to study film. And 2 years later, I'm doing exactly what I want to do with my life, and I'm just getting started. But yeah, you guys can find me in Instagram, Aaron. It's AARON underscore MCV, and you can see my work there. I have a couple projects up, and yeah, you guys can find me there. I'm really excited to see who I meet.
I'm sure you'll meet some
Dude, thanks for
amazing
coming on,
people.
bro.
No man, thank you guys. It was an honor being
We
part of
gotta have a part two.
it.
Yes.
Let
2022.
Hell yes. Just let me know. 6 months, a year from now, we can catch up, like see where everyone else is at,
Mm-hmm.
and see that growth. See that growth. But yeah,
Definitely, bro.
I'm really honored to be in the shift, right?
Yeah.
I'm super happy, and you guys should tune in for the next episodes.
Dude,
Just
thank you
getting
so
started.
much.
Now,
Thank
man,
you. thank you for being here. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I really enjoyed hearing about, how, you can look at filming in such a different way than I can, but the way it can like mean so much to you and what it can bring to like, the world. It showed a lot to me too. So I really enjoyed the conversation, and I can't wait to have you on again.
I can't wait to be back, man. I enjoyed the whole conversation. It was such a such a cleanse from all the short conversations, all those simple conversations you can have. So thank you a lot. It was really nice.
Thank you, man.
Dude, I just want to close this by saying Aaron is a very selfless person. Like, he's doing all this stuff for himself, but it's really not for himself, bro. Like, this man does so much artistry, and he just like continues to pursue artistry. Like, he doesn't like feel his ego. He doesn't go around searching for material gain. Good guy. So if you're looking for quality films, or like you have a short film project or idea, like, keep your eye on him, because this guy's just getting started. Michael's just getting started.
You're
It's
just
just the
getting
beginning
started.
for this. Yeah, it's just the beginning for a lot of us. Most of y'all watching too. So like I'm glad we're on this journey together. In this point in time together, like, let's figure out why we're here together. We all have individual paths, and I'm just honored to have like met y'all along the way.
Me too. And with that, I think we could say thank you all for watching.
Thank you guys.